Don't you think that knowing some of the insider details about living in a new state, city, or neighborhood before you move would be helpful? Things like the type of homes locals avoid, or the areas where you might be hit with higher property taxes. Stuff like this would be really nice to know before moving, and the Iowa City area is no different. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the things that you definitely want to know before moving to Iowa City. So make sure you stick around all the way till the end of this video so that you can see what all 7 of these things are, and I can help you avoid some of those rookie misunderstandings and mistakes when you're moving to the Iowa City area. If you're new here, my name is Emily Farber and I am a realtor in Iowa City. I make all kinds of videos about moving to the state of Iowa, moving to the greater Iowa City area, and real estate in general to help people like you make smart decisions. Click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out. Speaking of moving to the Iowa City area, if you haven't grabbed a copy of my new Iowa City area relocation guide, you should. I have a link for that down in the description box of this video. The first mistake I see people do is overestimating the size of the Iowa City metro, especially when they're coming from someplace really big like Chicago, Denver, LA. When you're first talking to a real estate agent about the kind of home that you want to buy and where, they're probably going to ask you if you want to be near anything like your job or place of worship. Then they're going to ask you how much travel time between your home and that place you would be willing to consider to help them define that search radius. When you say something like, I'd like to be within 30 minutes of my job, well, that means you are likely going to be looking at almost everywhere in Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, and Tiffin. Look, the Iowa City metro is not all that big. The total Iowa City metro, including Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, and Tiffin, which are contiguous, is only 51.44 miles. Walkability within the downtown section of Iowa City and the first few rings of neighborhoods out from there is pretty good. But in all reality, if you live further out, you are probably going to want a car. When somebody from a large metro tells me that they are looking for a walkable neighborhood, I get a little worried about that. I mean, what exactly do they mean? If you're looking for a neighborhood with, like little restaurants, a neighborhood bar, a coffee shop, a bodega, maybe some cute little shops to pop in, you might be surprised to discover that that version of an urban neighborhood here in Iowa is pretty rare. But if by walkable, you mean like a quiet tree-lined street, close to parks, walking distance to schools, then yes, that will be a much easier neighborhood to find you a home in. The rapid growth of the suburb communities of North Liberty and Tiffin have kind of led to those areas feeling a little bit like a zone of urban sprawl, in my opinion, with busy roads, strip malls, and a lack of a centralized business district that is pedestrian friendly. Although both North Liberty and Tiffin are working on those things, it's in progress. This one is big because it affects all of us. The weather. I'm not just talking about acknowledging that winter happens and having the bare essentials like your winter coat, boots, and gloves. I'm talking about having the equipment and the knowledge to properly care for your property throughout the winter. Things like knowing that you need to remove your garden hoses from your outdoor spigots so that water doesn't freeze in the hoses, back up ice into your water pipes, and then burst those pipes. Things like knowing that you absolutely cannot turn off your heat in the middle of winter when you go on vacation, because you could come home to an absolute disaster of frozen and burst pipes and water damage everywhere. Things like purchasing a shovel or a snowblower before the snow starts flying so that you can clear your driveways and sidewalk, because You need to know that packing down that snow on your driveway with your car tires is going to make it next to impossible to remove, and that in Iowa City, the city ordinance states that you must clear your sidewalks of snow down to the concrete within 24 hours of even 1 inch of snow falling. Things like understanding the rules of street parking when the city declares a snow emergency. Another common misconception that I see from people moving here to Iowa City, and well, Iowa in general actually, is thinking that they're going to install big privacy fences. This usually puts me in the position of being the bearer of bad news, and usually that news is, nah, dog, you're not going to be able to do that. Especially if you're looking at homes in newer neighborhoods where there are restrictive covenants. Usually the covenants will state that the only kind of fence allowed is like a 4-foot black poly-coated chain link fence. If that's a deal breaker for you and you absolutely want a solid privacy fence, well, then we're going to need to find you a home in an older neighborhood without covenants. Tell me, what is the story with the desire for privacy fences? What are you guys hiding back there? People ask me all the time, why is Iowa so weird about letting me have a privacy fence? And honestly, I'm not really sure. But my theory is that black chain link fences just fade into the background so it doesn't obstruct anybody else's view, and they let wind pass through. Iowa is pretty windy, and having a solid fence is going to lead to big drifts of snow, piles of leaves, and general riffraff like that. Okay, here's another one. Let's circle back to you probably realistically need a car. While Iowa City and Coralville do each have public bus systems, I wouldn't call the public transportation system here particularly robust. And there isn't a public bus system at all in North Liberty or Tiffin. There are, of course, no subways or public rail lines, but it's not all bad news. If you live in Iowa City, you can enjoy free bus fare. The city is participating in a 2-year pilot program that offers free bus rides to everybody until August of 2025. Now, it's not impossible to not own a car and live in the Iowa City Metro. It's possible. I'm not going to rule it out. I'm just saying it's likely going to be more of a pain in the butt than wherever it is that you are currently living a car-free life. Okay, this issue is something that is brought up to me fairly frequently, and the complaint seems to be triggered by certain, let's call them holes, in the shopping market. Things like women's professional clothing, high-end and luxury brands, and furniture. Many locals end up driving to Des Moines, Chicago, Minneapolis for more extensive shopping choices, or they just have to up their online shopping game. The lack of diversity in retail options can be frustrating for people who are accustomed to living in cities with a multitude of shopping centers and specialty stores catering to more unique interests. What do you think about this if you live here or have visited the greater Iowa City area? Does the Metro here have some blind spots when it comes to shopping? Now, this is a total rumor, but I have heard that there is a Tesla dealership coming to North Liberty sometime soon, which is a big deal for all of the Tesla drivers around these parts, like me, because as it stands, if you have an issue that Tesla mobile service won't handle, that means you have to drive 2 hours to Urbandale to have it fixed. Let's talk about taxes a little bit. I know, everybody's favorite topic. Property taxes in Iowa are not cheap. In fact, they're relatively high. According to a 2023 report by the Tax Foundation, Iowa has the 10th highest property tax rate in the country, with an average effective rate of 1.52% of a home's taxable value. But there are local variations due to differences in local governmental budgets, school district funding needs, and other factors that impact property tax assessments. I'm going to throw some numbers up here on the screen, so you might need to pause the video, to digest them, maybe take a screenshot. For example, when looking at the 2024 fiscal year, somebody living in Iowa City would be looking at the following per $1,000 of taxable valuation. This totals a consolidated levy rate of approximately $40.23056 per $1,000 of taxable valuation. Somebody in North Liberty would be looking at, this results in a total levy rate of approximately $36.07354 per $1,000 of taxable value. Somebody in Coralville would be paying, which results in a total consolidated levy rate of $38.934 per $1,000 of taxable valuation. And somebody in Tiffin would be paying, this results in a total consolidated levy rate of $37.34159 of $1,000 in taxable valuation. Now, if you're trying to reduce the amount of money that you're paying in property taxes while continuing to live in Johnson County, close to the Iowa City metro, try finding a home in the county, in an unincorporated area, not within city limits. A down and dirty way to determine if you're in the county is to look for addresses with directional coordinates, like such and such address southwest or northeast. Here's an example of a property tax levy rate for a home in the county. The total levy rate here is $28.62243 of $1,000 of property valuation. The last thing I'm going to touch on in this video is local residents' obsession with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Don't come to town and talk trash about the Hawkeyes. You are going to find that the Hawkeyes are a cultural cornerstone and a point of pride for local residents because, I don't know, there's not any professional sports teams in Iowa to spread Iowan sport interest out over. And interest in the Hawkeyes is something that is instilled into people pretty much from birth. Iowa Hawkeye gear is everywhere, especially on Fridays and Saturdays. Football game Saturdays are practically holidays, and it's not just about the game. It's an all-day event. Football games will impact your in-town plans. For instance, you are not going to want to try to drive anywhere downtown or through the main sections of Coralville when a Hawkeye football game is either, loading in or getting out because of all of the fans trying to leave. Fans idolize certain players and coaches, and they really become emotionally invested in their teams. Hawkeye sports are a social currency and a default topic of conversation. It's kind of like talking to somebody about the weather. You can always talk to somebody about the Hawkeyes, and it's a good way to connect with other people. So, if you move here, be prepared to become a Hawkeye fan, or at least silently put up with other people's raving Hawkeye fandom. What are you looking for in a home in the Iowa City metro? Reach out to me and let's talk about your goals, your timeline, your preferred locations, your budget. If you reach out, we can plan a time to sit down and talk about exactly what it is you're looking for, and I will straight up tell you if your expectations and goals line up. If they do, awesome. If they don't, I can help you into the land of reality. Check out my playlist here at the end of this video for more content all about Iowa City. Hey, it's been fun, and I'll catch you later.